Hey everyone, Token Dave over here, the dorky token black guy who's just trying to get by. And welcome to another edition of AA, Adaptation Application. Here, I give my thoughts on how well an original or an already established story has been adapted into a new or an updated medium. Today, I'm going to give my thoughts on how well Tom Clancy's novel, Patriot Games, has been adapted into a motion picture that was released in 1992. Spoiler warning, alright? If you saw my review of Patriot Games, I was very ambiguous, but I did mention quite a few things stating that basically in the novel it's a little different. I'm going to spoil things from both the movie and the novel in this AA. So if you haven't watched the movie, read the novel, or done both, stop this video right now. You have been warned. But if you don't care, let's go in. Alright, so before I go any further, I'm only going to focus on two predominant points, and then the predominant points are going to be the plot and the characters. After the characters, I'll go into some details of, additional details of the difference between the novel and basically, the movie. So, what's the plot of Patriot Games? Well, the plot of the movie is that while on vacation in London, Jack Ryan actually, thwarts a terrorist attack on a member of the royal British family. And within thwarting this attack, Jack Ryan kills one of the terrorists' younger brother, and that terrorist has been apprehended and is actually convicted to life imprisonment in England. That particular terrorist escapes and is now gunning for Jack Ryan and his family out of revenge. Alright, so that's the plot of the movie. Is there a difference in the novel? Yes, there is. In the novel, basically, Jack Ryan, he didn't kill a terrorist. Well, he didn't kill a family member of a terrorist. That terrorist being Sean Miller, who in the movie is portrayed by Sean Bean, which I'll get to momentarily. But in the novel, basically, he killed a terrorist, but, that terrorist did not have a blood relation to Sean Miller. Alright? Also in the novel, basically, the people that the terrorists were targeting were actually Prince Charles and Princess Diana, thus those two becoming friends with the Ryan family. Whereas in the movie, it's just one of the English lords and all. Now, the movie with Jack Ryan killing Sean Miller's brother gives more weight to Miller's, obsessive vengeance against Ryan compared to the novel where, Miller is just humiliated by Ryan, But, by the same token, with him thwarting an attack on Prince Charles and Princess Diana, it gave Ryan's heroics more weight compared to just saving some English lord that most people might not be aware of unless you're in England, So, changes cancel each other out. It just makes it meh. I can't give it a pass or a fail because it's just there. So, now, let's go into the characters. Now, as for mentioned, Sean Miller, played by Sean Bean in the movie, is awesome. He's a breakout character of the whole movie. Where in the movie, we have a new Jack Ryan and a new Kathy Ryan. The new Jack Ryan is portrayed by Harrison Ford, Now, here's the thing. Patriot Games is actually, even though it's the second novel that Tom Clancy did, Patriot Games, and if you look at the Jack Ryan canon, it was actually, a prequel to Hunt for Red October. So everything that happened in Patriot Games had to have happened in the early 80s. As opposed to the movie where if you actually look at, Marty Cantor's office, you'll see that you see a picture of President George H.W. Bush signaling that Patriot games takes place in the 90s. So that was a bit of a change, and I feel that change was made due to the fact that Harrison Ford, who is older than Alec Baldwin, is playing Jack Ryan in this. But the problem is, Jack Ryan is supposed to be very young, and if you look at the if you look at the movie close enough, Jack does some things that a younger person would actually do, and that's a little more reckless compared to the more seasoned Harrison Ford. But I will say this, the dynamic between Jack Ryan and Kathy Ryan, which was non-existent in Hunt for Red October, is a huge breath of fresh air in this movie. So you could see why Jack is like so prideful of his family and is trying to protect them at all costs against the menace of Sean Miller. In addition, in the novel, Rear Admiral James Greer has a very small role. The mentor-mentee relationship is actually between, Marty Cantor and Jack Ryan. As opposed to the movie where Cantor really doesn't like Ryan and everything, and then Ryan makes it look as if that, with Marty Cantor not really liking Jack Ryan and everything, out of fear that Ryan is after his job, it was like some unnecessary tension that I felt. And now that I think about it, that tension was actually like put in there to replace the tension Sean Miller had with somebody else. You see, what's not brought up in the movie, but what's very big in the novel, is that basically there's also an ultra leftist group in the United States, and it's a black leftist group. And basically, this is the reason why basically Sean Miller was able to operate in the United States, because, the Ulster Liberation Army, the terrorist faction that Sean Miller works for, they were very small and they didn't have as many resources. But the resources they had in the United States was from, the black leftist group. And basically, Sean Miller and basically a person named Alex in that black leftist group, they had a lot of tension, and this tension displayed, Sean Miller's racism, as well as displayed, more of an evil side that Sean Miller had, So the tension between Jack Ryan and Marty Cantor was put in place to not show Sean Miller's racial tension against Alex, which kind of sucked because it would have been cool to see basically a black leftist group in the United States. Speaking of, black characters, Robbie Jackson, who is actually in the movie but has a very small role, plays a very important part, not only in this book, but in the Jack Ryan universe as a whole. Robbie Jackson is Jack Ryan's best friend and closest confidant, and basically in the movie, you can see they talk a little bit, and basically they eat dinner at the end, when basically, the Lord visits the Ryan home, you get a better understanding of why, Robbie actually is at that dinner. Robbie was basically, he actually got called back. He's teaching with Jack, and he got called back to the Navy to become a fighter pilot again. Something that was Robbie Jackson's bliss. And basically, Robbie Jackson was going back to becoming a pilot, but with Charles and Diana going to see Jack, they had to merge that in, and basically Robbie and basically Prince Charles hit off well as Jack and Robbie. They were like this throughout the whole Jack Ryan universe. So the downplaying of Robbie's character was a real disappointment. But by the same token, we got more James Earl Jones, who plays, Rear Admiral Greer, Now, in this one, you don't have as much as a mentor-mentee relationship in the movie, and you don't really have that in the novel as well, too, which really kind of stinks, despite the fact that James Earl Jones is awesome and giving him more screen time is cool too, it's just that there wasn't really much to do for him to do in this movie, you know. But the mentor-mentee relationship between, you know, Marty Cantor and Jack Ryan in the novel was awesome. In addition, there are a couple of other things, like, you know, there was in the movie, you had a female that was part of the terrorist group. She had a very small part in the novel. Now, here's my thing. I'm of two minds of it. While it's nice that the chick got a bigger part in the movie, you know, it kind of really wasn't necessary. It kind of really wasn't. They did an interesting way of using it as a plot device and everything. Kind of unrealistic at how it planned out in the movie, where that person was the key for Jack Ryan to, like, you know, figure out how to find them. But, you know, it was, yeah, it felt very forced. It felt very far-fetched. In addition, you know, there was, like, you know, you see the person, the bookstore owner, you know, this person played a very minor part in the movie, but he played a more important part in the book, and actually, he was part of the assault at the end, where basically, you know, Miller and his group tried to kidnap, basically, you know, the royal family. And in the movie, they made it like, you know, one of the British Secret Service agents was a traitor, where basically, in the novel, it was that book dealer who gave up the information to the Ryan family to help, you know, stop the terrorist attack and help save the royal family. One last thing that I'm going to go into, it's the very ending. Now, in the very ending, you know, well, not the very ending, but close to the ending. You know, close to the ending, Jack Ryan in the movie, had a fight with Sean Miller. That did not happen in the book. You know, what happened is, like, you know, they came very close face to face, and Jack Ryan basically had a gun to Sean Miller and was about to kill him. The gun was a very important part, by the way, because Jack feeling like, you know, he couldn't defend or save his family after, like, you know, the attack that occurred on the highway that basically injured his wife, who was pregnant at the time, and actually gravely injured his daughter, who was 4 years old in the novel, but it looks like she's like a pre-teenager in the movie for some reason, you know. Jack actually took shooting lessons from somebody else in the Naval Academy that he worked at, thanks to Robbie Jackson, you know. See how Robbie was very important in this novel compared to the movie? But, you know, with Ryan facing off against Miller and about to kill him, you know, that's a very defining moment for Ryan, who basically feels, you know what, he's going to be more civilized than this animal, compared to the movie where they fought to the death and everything, which kind of cheapened everything. And at the very end of the novel, Kathy Ryan gave birth to their son, Jack Ryan Jr., where in the movie, they just made it ambiguous, wondering what was the sex of the baby. So all in all, basically, you know, this was actually the easiest movie, this is actually the easiest novel to adapt of all Tom Clancy's novels, and the poor representation of the characters and how they misconstrued a lot of the events. There's a lot more that I could have gone into, but I'm not, because my video is running long. But all in all, I have to say that this adaptation is trash. You know, the movie itself is not bad. I recommend people to watch the movie, but if you're a fan of the novel, your impression of this movie really, really is diminished. And I'd say, like, you know, the only reason to really watch this movie, if you're a fan of the novels, is to really see the relationship between Ryan and Kathy. Do you agree? Disagree? Drop me a comment below. Give me a like. Follow me on Facebook at Token Dave or on Twitter at TokenDave80. Subscribe and ring that bell so you know when a new video loads. But until then, this has been Token Dave, Dorky Token Black Guy who's just trying to get by. I'll catch you guys later.